Welcome back, Pokemon trainers. We are here at the 2018 Charlotte Regionals. This is Battle Factory. I'm Joe Brown, joined by Adam Doricott. This is our last round here for VGC on day one. What the cool kids like, or what the cool kids say is a win and in. Both of our players are 6-1, so there is a lot on the line in round 8.
Just a quick clarification, Joe. What cool kids are you talking to who are coining the term win and in as if it's like a revolutionizing term?
The ones I talk to, I think are cool. I don't know.
It's a questionable decision. But I'm not here to talk about your circle of friends. I'm here to talk about a match.
We've already established a lot here on this stream about my fears of Arachnid and my cool kid friends, and we have our friends helping out here. But it is Maura Hazen versus Jakob Swilley. So I think it's gonna be a fun match as we're looking around and talking. Maura is a player from the New York, New Jersey region, so I am familiar with her play style. I believe this would be her first regional top cut. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I know she's done very well in mid-seasons and premier challenges, but this would be that next big step towards the World Championship.
Yeah, I mean, regional points are essential, basically, to making those World Championship invites. There's no way to make it there reasonably without at least a couple good regionals. Unless you can find 8 mid-season showdowns to win, then you're going to struggle a little bit there.
All right, so let's get into game one here. Jakob Swilley and Maura Hazen. Jakob has a team of Kartana, Charizard, Tapu Koko, Tyranitar, Cresselia, and Landorus, with Maura Hazen having a team of Incineroar, Politoed, Mawile, Tapu Koko, Ludicolo, and Gothitelle.
Yeah, I mean, let's start over with, I think Jacob's team makes sense to start there. I guess I want to say standard team. It's one of those discussions that's been going on a lot today. Is Kartana still a thing? And it appears to be very much so, running very nicely with these double weather options from Tyranitar and the Charizard, with potentially the Charizard out. Why? Those weather options are going to be absolutely essential, especially when you look at Maura's team. The Politoed there to enable that Ludicolo with Swift Swim, to protect something like that Mawile from the Fire-type moves, allow the Tapu Koko to deal even more damage with Thunder. So while this team functions very tightly on kind of one weather, there are 2 available for Jakob. The big hurdle he has to overcome, though, is how does he get that weather into play? It's really hard to do that when the Gothitelle is causing some problems for you.
That's true. That's one of the big highlights of the Charizard Tyranitar teams, is they have essentially 3 weather setters where they can, if it's Mega Tyranitar, of course, also if you run double Mega, you have Sand and then Drought, and then you can re-Mega Evolve with Tyranitar and do Sand again. So going up against the Rain, that's really the best option to take away that extra power that Ludicolo and Politoed get for free while Rain is up. But we don't see Gothitelle yet. Jakob Swilley on the bottom has Tapu Koko and Landorus, with Maura Hazen on top, Incineroar and Tapu Koko.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have both a Mega Tyranitar and a Mega Charizard. It's a little bit of a stretch. But I do actually like Mega Tyranitar as a potential to kind of tidy this up. We do see Maura lead without either of those Rain setters. So what a lot of people do when they play this Rain is actually kind of scout out what the Rain answer is in game 1. And something like this Landorus Tapu Koko makes a ton of sense, because you can U-turn off a Ludicolo, you can hit an Electric-type move into the Politoed, and, this is now something that Maura can kind of capitalize off a little bit. I mean, the Tapu Koko not in the best position, particularly that Landorus in play, but then you've got Incineroar to at least shut it down for a turn with the Fake Out, and the Intimidate that it just got is certainly going to help.
Yeah, that's definitely huge, as we've seen all throughout today, and we will see with the rest of this format in Intimidate, Incineroar. But I think it is a pretty safe Fake Out Landorus situation, and Dazzle Gleam or something else you want to do with your Tapu Koko. But we actually will see Incineroar with a Fake Out into that Landorus slot, and Jakob's Tapu Koko with a Thunderbolt into the Incineroar, as Maura deciding that she doesn't want to have that potential chance of wondering if her Koko's really faster, Volt switching out into something else in the back, which is Ludicolo. No Rain up yet for the Dancing Phenom himself.
The big thing about switching in Ludicolo actually is it's a really fast way to get a second fake out into play. So again, Maura can literally limit Jakob to attacking just once, and then maybe the opportunity to kind of shut something down. I think in this turn, actually, Maura may have to change it up. We saw how much the Tapu Koko did to Incineroar. You're dangerously close to that 50% mark, and you don't want to gamble on the damage coming out at slightly more. Of course, if you leave Landorus in, hey, it has the option to U-turn away off your Ludicolo. So both of these targets going to be pretty premium options for Maura in this one, and she's really going to be recycling fake out as much as possible in this game.
Understandable play by Maura here to bring in the Politoed. So in case Ludicolo does go for a fake out this turn, now that Drizzle is up and the rain is out, the Politoed, or the Ludicolo, will be very fast next turn thanks to its Swift Swim ability. Tapu Koko with a Protect, and Ludicolo a fake out onto Landorus again. So Landorus just keeps getting fake out at every turn, and it's not able to get an attack off.
Oh no, it's a really good switch there from Maura to get rid of that Incineroar and bring Politoed in, especially with Jakob playing super safe with that Tapu Koko. If he'd have just Thunderbolted into that slot, he'd have caught Politoed on the way in, but he's so scared of the fake out he protects. Maura now has a great position. Swift Swim activating on her Ludicolo means it's going to be able to get a big attack off on this Landorus in advance, and then Tapu Koko really going to struggle, I think, to keep up with the damage, especially with it switching out.
In comes Kartana to that Tapu Koko slot. Probably takes a water hit, or it can try. Of course, if it's Focus Sash, also wouldn't have to worry about that. But Politoed does switch out. It did its job. It set up the rain. It helped out its buddy. Now it's moving as fast as it can, and Incineroar was switching to that slot. That is now another Intimidate onto Landorus as Scald into Kartana, brings it down to the red and gets a burn. I'm not sure. I'm not a math major. Let's see if it at the end of the turn will take out Kartana. But a U-turn has to be critical. It has to, because the Landorus was -2 in its attack stat, so a critical hit U-turn is enough for a one-hit knockout on the Ludicolo there, and
that's a rough turn there for Maura. Yeah, I mean,
really hurts.
She was really banking on 2 Intimidates, making that U-turn very, very manageable indeed. And I think as well, being able to knock out the Tapu Koko with Scald, the Kartana switch paying off there, buying Maura kind of that extra time, buying Jakob rather that extra time. Of course, losing the Ludicolo now means that your fastest Pokemon is gone. That was going to be your big sweeper for the rest of this, or at least the middle portion of this game, and that's just gone immediately. I mean, of course, there is some turns available for Maura, a fake out now, allowing that Kartana to just do very little damage after the burn. Could be one of those plays. I mean, there's the option to just double up into the Tapu Koko, but the big concern here, I think, if you're Maura, is you needed more out of that Ludicolo when it came to stopping this Landorus in its Therian form. We didn't really see the Landorus take any big damage, so we don't have any confirmation on the item there.
Yeah, it's just simple fake outs from Pokemon. It's gonna take way too many fake outs to finally knock out.
Right.
But this Jakob's Tapu Koko will protect as Incineroar's fake out goes into that slot, and Tapu Koko with a hidden power. Let's see if it's super effective. It's not super effective, so that means it's not fire. Presumably ice, since that is the most common type of hidden power. But at that point, it didn't. It could have been, as long as it wasn't hidden power poison, the Kartana was going down. Yeah,
I mean, the most common thing people have been adding is the Tapu Koko, just because it's so fast, and there's so many of these Pokemon that are just 4 times weak to ice that you just want to deal with things like the Salamence, of course, that, you just want to help out with things like the Landorus that you probably want to help out with a little bit. The big thing right here, though, is, Incineroar's attack's down. This Landorus is actually now back to its pure and full attack stat. It's going to be able to knock out Tapu Koko and Incineroar if it just decides to fire off an Earthquake. The only concern right now is what did Jakob bring in the back? Because depending if he's allowed to Earthquake really means he can't have bought Tyranitar.
Here is the Politoed with Incineroar switching out. Tapu Koko went for another Protect, but it failed. This Volt Switch from Maura doesn't do a lot. Brings down Tapu Koko to around 30-ish% of its HP, but more importantly, Maura gets to switch her Tapu Koko out. Still haven't seen a Z move from either player in this game 1, so this is actually, that was a cool play of Volt switching, so you were able to switch out Incineroar and bring it back in on the same turn. So now that Landorus is intimidated, it knocks out its own partner Koko. the Incineroar and brings down Palitoad to under 50%. So that's why, with a critical hit on Palitoad, but that's why Jakob tried to double protect.
Well, that kind of gives an indication of what's in the back. You know, if you had one of those levitating Pokemon or the flying type, you know, why not switch it in at that point? But the big thing here is that Maura's now down to the last two. There's no switching for this Politoed. She's stuck playing with Tapu Koko and this Politoed for the rest of the game. And that Politoad's about to get severely weakened, potentially, by this Charizard. A Mega Evolution here would basically set her really far back, because this Politoed would come up close to useless in trying to deal with this Landorus, potentially, if it doesn't carry one of these Ice-type moves. And then in the same vein, you know, Landorus is now free to just keep on Earthquaking. There's nothing you can do to stop that happening.
That's what the beauty of team synergy when you're team building, having Landers, having a Pokemon with spread, Earthquake, having a Levitator like Cresselia, or immunity with Charizard as Charizard Mega Evolves here into its very famous Y form. Setting up Drought, which will increase the power of Fire-type attacks, but more importantly, get rid of the rain. So now Politoed is really rendered not doing a lot of damage, but we will have our first Z move of round 8, and it's from that Tapu Koko, meaning it's a Gigavolt Havoc. Since it's a rain team, that's probably Thunder, not Thunderbolt, and it's going to do even more damage.
Yeah, and because it became the Z move, it actually can't miss. So that's a really big piece of information for Maura. The only thing she can get rid of now is the Charizard, and then she just has to find a way around this Landorus. Charizard just gone. Let's not even ruminate on the possibility of Charizard sticking around. That is taken care of.
Let's not even imagine the thought.
Yeah,
Charizard
just don't even talk about it. Don't even tell anyone.
But Landers now is free for an Earthquake. Tapu Koko survives that hit down to around 25%, but Tapu Koko did have hidden power. We assume we assume ice because it wasn't fire on that Kartana. Is hidden power ice from Tapu Koko enough for a knockout?
Well, we're gonna
find out. Maura, let's see. Oh no, whoa, not even close. So that might reveal Jakob possibly has an Assault Vest on his Landers.
I don't even think that might. That does reveal it.
I want to keep all my options open. You know.
There's no way.
Yeah.
If that doesn't get anywhere close to it, hey, that's got to be the Assault Vest on Jakob's Landorus, and his smart switching in that game basically kept him alive. I mean, a couple of things that went really in his favor. He got a critical hit on U-turn. Fantastic. That's what you need.
It was kind of a big deal. It happened so long ago, we forget about it. It was early game.
But but no, and that was the big play is Maura didn't take care of that Landorus, and that actually came back to haunt her really badly in the end of this game.
Yeah, and it was such a problem for her. The first 2 turns of the game, she decided, I'm going to fake out and switch in my other fake out so I could fake out Landorus again. So it really did show how much Maura valued her opponent's Landorus, seeing it was such a big threat to the Tapu Koko and the Incineroar. Even Mawile, if she brought that, that would be a super effective Earthquake as well. So is it time for Maura to switch it up with the patented Goth-Maw combination of Gothitelle and Mawile?
I would like to point out that the Landorus in that game took 5 knockouts.
That's true, because of
it took out its own Tapu Koko.
That's how savage Landorus is.
Landorus
takes
is an
out anything in its way, including its friends.
Yeah, it will do anything for victory. And as you point out, Maura really has to do more to shut that down, because 5 knockouts is nearly unheard of.
And you would think Ludicolo is a great answer to Landorus. Instead of maybe that first turn instead of going for fake out, maybe go for the Ice Beam. And we didn't see Charizard until the end of that match, so there were many chances for the Landorus to be hit by a super effective water or ice type attack. But let's see if Maura makes an adjustment. As of right now, she has with a lead of Gothitelle and Incineroar, and Jakob Swilley has Kartana and Charizard also. So for the moment, no rain, but once this Mega Evolves, we will see the sun.
Yeah, I think Jakob actually has to hold on to this Mega Evolution until Politoad's ready to come out and play. But the thing is, Maura's not inclined to bring that out. And if you don't Mega Evolve, then you're actually really limiting your damage output here. So Charizard keeping it safe, maybe trying to bait the switch on turn 1, but Maura playing a little bit smarter than that.
Incineroar fake out into Kartana, expecting Charizard to protect, as it did. Kartana will flinch, of course, because it was fake outed. And Gothitelle setting up Trick Room. Incineroar, we've actually been talking all day about how Incineroar is such a great intimidate, slow Trick Room option, and this is where we're seeing it from Maura.
Yeah, now we actually get to see Incineroar do a little bit more than fake out, I think. It's probably not going to want to switch out. It does have options to really start putting the hurt down on this Kartana, so, you know, should be able to start tidying up. Charizard, though, seeing the opportunity here, realizing I'm going to need to deal some damage, just Mega Evolving.
Mega Charizard with Drought. Eventually, Politoed, if Maura brought it, will come in and set up the rain. We also haven't seen Tyranitar in this set, which has access to sand, but Psy Shock from Gothitelle into Charizard and Flare Blitz in the sun, so that will boost the fire type. Not that Incineroar needed it, because Kartana, I don't know if in the history of its existence as an Ultra Beast has ever survived a fire type attack, because that's how weak it is.
Not without the use of a Focus Sash. That's literally the only way you can take these Flare Blitzes from pretty much any Pokemon. The big thing here, though, if you look at Maura's team selection with the Gothitelle and the Incineroar, something's gonna give way to make room for the Gothitelle that we didn't even see last game, so you could assume Ludicolo's gone, but if you're bringing Politoed, then Mawile's gone as well, so this Landorus may actually be of a lot less value in this one to Jacob, purely because he doesn't have a Tapu Koko to prey on, or a Ludicolo to U-Tap.
But Landorus did switch in there, as we saw it being Assault Vest last turn. It is not. It could potentially be slower, which would be nice in Trick Room. It could be slower than its Charizard teammate. Politoed will switch in here for Maura, setting up the Rain with its Drizzle ability. Another Psy Shock. Not into Charizard like it was last turn, but this time into that Landorus slot, as Landorus goes for a free Earthquake, since his Charizard is so polite not to get hit by it, since it's a flying type. Gothitelle survives! Gothitelle had to have been 1-2 HP at max. That was a pivotal clutch survival from Gothitelle, eating up its Iapapa Berry, going back to over 50%, and thanks to the rain being up and being resisted, the Politoed will take that flamethrower forever.
Yep, and this is the turn where Maura can just get rid of pretty much anything she wants. The Charizard will obviously go down to a Water-type move from Politoed. The Landorus will go down to a Water-type attack from Politoed. So really kind of easy options now just to start picking things off, forcing Jacob into his last two. Personally, I'd get rid of the Landorus. Cause you problems in game one, exact some revenge on it. Don't leave the option to get caught by Earthquakes. That's really, really important in this game.
Gothitelle, another Side Shock. No supportive moves 3 turns in a row, going for damage. And Politoed, Scald in the rain, through Assault Vest is enough. The Landorus was not able to stick around the same way that Gothitelle did. It goes down, a Flamethrower into the Politoed slot yet again. Does hardly any damage there. I was expecting maybe the Flamethrower to switch or to go into the Gothitelle, but he decided to go for Politoed again as Tapu Koko switches in for Jacob.
Yeah, we can really see Jacob's very, very fast team being completely torn down by this Trick Room. No answer to it right now. Not been able to stop it going up. That was pretty much a dead certainty with that Incineroar lead. And in the same vein, you know, this Tapu Koko and Charizard aren't going to appreciate the Politoed and Gothitelle. There is potential that Maura just takes this one 4-0.
That would be huge for her confidence going into Game 3, knowing that this adjustment, this Trick Room adjustment worked out well for her. I do wonder, we haven't seen that 4th Pokemon, if she decided to bring Mega Mawile or Ludicolo. So Jacob, if he doesn't win this match, it might his next best option might be just to find out who that 4th Pokemon is to understand what Maura's game plan was in this matchup. But a Heal Pulse from Gothitelle, still of course very slow. We're under Trick Room, so Politoed's back up to pretty high HP, and it goes for a Perish song. I didn't know Politoed had such a beautiful voice, as all the players of Pokemon on the field are down to Perish Trapped, which is a big combination where at the end of the next 3 turns, any Pokemon still on the field will be forced to be knocked out, have all of its HP depleted.
Yep, and this game is pretty much a closed case now for Maura. Basically, there's no way, with the use of Protect as well, that Jacob can get through all 4 of her Pokemon. Realistically, with smart Protects, he's going to have 1 turn to knock out 4 Pokemon.
And this is the strategy that when I'm facing my opponents and they pull off the shadow tag Perish song and then Protect in my face and I can't do anything but start to tick down my lives, it just makes me furious. I wonder if Jacob feels the same way. The turn count has gone down to 2. Now, even if Jacob gets a double knockout, next turn, Maura on that last turn of Perish Song can just double protect like you were saying, and those Pokemon that she had weren't on the field for Perish Song, so they would stick around.
No, I mean the Incineroar is going to switch in just pretty much for the sake of wasting a turn right now. You only need to stall out 2 more turns. You know, even if you double switch right now, then you're going to be in a position to, as long as you have double protect available for you in the last turn, you're fine. You know, you just need to have 1 Pokemon standing at the end of this one. Looks like basically we're going to end up with Incineroar alongside a Pokemon that can protect.
And this might be it might be Politoed at this point since there's only 1 turn left. And I think that reveal is so huge for that 4th Pokemon that Maura doesn't want to show it out. And here is the Politoed. Because if, let's say she brought Mawile, that means that Jacob can probably assume that she won't bring the rain option and Ludicolo next time around and can adjust her team with maybe the Cresselia or Tyranitar or play it differently. And it looks like we're going to have a forfeit.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else for Maura or for Jacob to be able to do in this one. Maura wrapping up with the perfect Perish Trap endgame. It's rare that you see it go off that well, and like you say, keeping that last Pokemon hidden, I think hides if the commitment to the Trick Room had been made. If you see the Mega Mawile, you know you've committed to Trick Room. It's going to be a bit of a toughie. But at the same time, you have to wonder, oh, maybe Maura stuck with something a little more aggressive. I personally can't see a world where she did. But at the same time, if you're Jacob, you're still left guessing.
Gothitelle and Mawile, they're like peanut butter and jelly. It's just, they're perfect together.
Is that peanut butter and jam? Is that the same thing?
Is that what they say over there?
Well, there's jams, there's marmalades, there's spreads and preserves. It's such a complex dialogue of fruit-based toast toppings that I just honestly don't think we have time to break it down right now.
We have more important things going on, including, wow, an incredibly fast lock-in from Maura. I'll try to read the teams off again. Kartana and Charizard, Koko, Tyranitar, Cresselia, Landorus, with Incineroar, Politoed, Mawile, Tapu Koko, Ludicolo, and Gothitelle. Ooh, perfect timing.
Got it
Buzzer
in there,
beater, just like Michael Jordan. We're in Charlotte, baby.
Don't bring your bouncy orange references here. I've already been caught by the traffic in this one.
It's called March Madness. Get with it. In America, we get excited about basketball in March, Adam.
But why? The playoffs are like down the road.
Oh my, okay. As soon as our players switch over.
My local team don't even make the playoffs. They don't even sniff the playoffs, Joe. I live in Orlando. What are you expecting?
I guess that's fair. You chose the wrong state to move to for basketball. Jakob Swilley on the bottom of your screen, Tapu Koko, and Tyranitar. An adjustment finally seeing T-Tar in Game 3 as Maura Hazen going with what worked so effectively for her in Game 2 as her lead, Incineroar and Gothitelle. This is the winner of this match. Will move on to Top Cut tomorrow.
Well, at least Tapu Koko may be able to get out of the way. Jacob's actually revealed Thunderbolt, so that might be stuck. And also, it's not going to be a fun time for this Tyranitar either. Yes, it could deal some big damage with a Dark-type move to Gothitelle, but I don't think it's going to be afforded an opportunity to do that lightly. It's also going to have to go up against the bad boy Incineroar, which usually carries a fighting-type move.
Crunch from Tyranitar into Gothitelle, bringing it down to half of its HP, so another crunch would be enough, most likely, to knock it out. But Gothitelle is able to set up the Trick Room thanks to Incineroar's fake out onto Tapu Koko, and we see from the Sand Tick damage that the order next turn will be Gothitelle, Incineroar, and Tapu Koko. Yeah,
I mean, this Tapu Koko, that's a lot from a fake out. That is a very, very low defense, and you know the Tapu Koko could fight back. I mean, the Gothitelle is going to keep itself safe. Looks like Tyranitar is actually kind of going. Incineroar at least is going to at least try and get some big damage out right now.
Tyranitar with a crunch into Gothitelle, but Gothitelle protected, so it's okay this turn. The Flare Blitz critical hit. Maura getting a little bit of revenge from that U-turn critical hit in Game 1. Flare Blitz knocking out the Tapu Koko. We don't know if it mattered or not since it took so much from Fake Out already. Probably didn't have any or much defensive investment into that Koko, but it's still a nice feeling when you get that critical hit after you were crit.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. The Landorus here is going to help out a little bit against the Incineroar. The big thing for Maura right now is that this Gothitelle is so threatened by Crunch, and it can't really fight back. I do like the interesting play there from Jacob to not protect on his Tyranitar. I think Maura was banking on that. That's why the Flare Blitz went towards the Tapu Koko, not one of the fighting type moves that Incineroar has access to. Because then, you know, if the Tyranitar protects and you just don't do anything, then you're going to get hit in return by this Tapu Koko. But at the same time, you know, getting that Landorus in sort of helps a little bit. maybe swings the numbers a little bit in the favor of Jakob.
Gothitelle switching out and giving up that shadow tag ability that it had, locking in Jakob's Pokemon, as Mawile finally making an entrance in round 8 with an Intimidate of its own, lowering Landorus and Tyranitar's attacks. Rock Slide connects on both of Maura's Pokemon, but will it flinch Incineroar? That is the question, and it does. It does get a flinch, which is huge. So now Landorus is free to U-turn. Obviously, Shadow Tag wouldn't have stopped it from switching out anyway, but it can switch out. Incineroar, not Assault Vest, not Z-Move, a Guave Berry, recovering 50% of its HP there. So that U-turn actually, the U-turn Rock Slide combination actually helped Incineroar gain HP.
Yeah, I mean, the Incineroar ends up plussing at the end of the turn. A really, really big turn there, I think, from Maura. Basically, the Berry activating gives Incineroar another opportunity to go after this Tyranitar. Or in the same vein, just try and do damage to this Charizard. If you look at the Charizard coming out against the Mawile, you don't have the biggest kind of damage output available right now, so you just have to be a little bit careful. But Mawile could just Mega Evolve, could start popping off with some really big damage.
And once Charizard does Mega Evolve, that Flamethrower or Overheat or Heat Wave, whatever fire type attacks it has, will probably knock out the Mawile because it doesn't want to take a Sun boosted fire attack from Charizard. So I think that is a very simple decision from Jakob, but he will switch out the Tyranitar. It was intimidated at one point into Landorus, which is a nice move from Jakob because now Mawile, who has a very high attack stat, will be at -1 thanks to Landorus' Intimidate. And Charizard Mega Evolving here, very, very simple decision. I do more damage when I have Sun Up, so I'm going to Mega Evolve and go for Flamethrower or Heat Wave or anything onto Mawile as we see Drought. So that's what does Jakob go for? Oh, Mawile actually protecting, not Mega Evolving yet. Maybe even keeping that potential for a switch out so it can Intimidate later on. Knock off from the Incineroar, knocking off Landorus' Assault Vest, and there is a Heat Wave, which is a spread attack. It does connect on the Incineroar, but it is resisted, so Incineroar does take that considerably well.
Yeah, I mean, Incineroar's still sticking around. But the problem is now, Incineroar's original target isn't going to be there. You know, Incineroar was kind of there to try and deal with this Tyranitar, but now that Tyranitar's left the field, this Mawile's going to really struggle to do work. I think it falls short, particularly because of Charizard's typing, on these reliable knockouts. Unless, of course, you've just decided to give Rock Slide to your Mawile. I don't approve of that personally, but at the same time, it's an option. And that Intimidate may force a switch from Maura because the damage just falls a teeny tiny bit short at that juncture. But if that switch is forced unpunished, Jakob could definitely get through this Trick Room pretty well off.
It seems like both of Maura's Pokemon could really afford to switch out right now, and if that is the option she goes for, that means that that's a very passive turn. No damage is going to come off from her end of the field at all. But one will switch out. Mawile into Gothitelle. Charizard protects. Incineroar, Flare Blitz, Sun boosted Flare Blitz, so it's going to do a little bit more to Landorus, but not nearly enough. Bring it down to just under half of its HP, taking a little bit of recoil, and the Earthquake going into both Gothitelle and Incineroar, probably picking up a double knockout here. And yeah, that is what we see. So Maura is down to her final 2 Pokemon, and this time around with the Earthquake, Landorus wasn't able to knock out its own teammate because Charizard's immune. Yeah,
I mean, the best thing here for Jakob is he let Trick Room go up, and he actually played all the way through it with just losing the Tapu Koko. Now, we've seen 2 big Pokemon leave from Maura. We do know this Mawile's in play, but at the same time, this Mawile is never going to be able to play in Trick Room, and it's going to be playing against the Charizard. Even if the Politoed comes in, which it does, Charizard's just going to switch out and reset that weather.
I was also wondering with that 4th Pokemon if Maura brought Tapu Koko instead of Politoed. Landorus had its Assault Vest knocked off, so the Hidden Power Ice would have been doing significantly more damage. Of course, Politoed can still do a lot to it and knock out the Landorus while the rain is up. But now that Charizard has lowered its special attack because of no Drought, maybe Maura knows her team better than anyone else. Maybe Mawile can take a non-sun boosted Flamethrower.
Well, they can go back to regular if the Tyranitar switches in. Sand is kind of neutral to this matchup, so would be okay. Anything really, though, that takes the rain away is a play that Jakob's going to be looking for now. Tyranitar switch in for Landorus, Charizard hit with you with a neutral Heat Wave or over Flamethrower or Overheat. I'm just going to keep listing fire moves. It's actually going to be Charizard saved for later, so Charizard wants to sweep in the sun, basically.
Yeah, Tyranitar switching in, Sand Stream activating. We'll set up the sand here as Mawile finally Mega Evolving. He really has no other option as Maura is down to her final 2 Pokemon. Mega Mawile, a Pokemon that was hyped up very much at the beginning of the format, but has not been in every Top Cut ever. But this Sucker Punch, it doesn't matter about being a slow Pokemon because Priority Sucker Punch knocks out the Landorus, and Scald without that rain boost, even though it's super effective, Sand increasing Tyranitar's special defense, really not helping Politoed.
Yeah, I mean, the Sand there boosting it is really good, and just to make it worse, even when Jakob switches in his remaining Weather Setter, it makes the Scald even weaker.
That's true, so it's going to be doing even less each turn. Yeah,
I mean, this Maura's kind of in trouble. The basic premise of what Maura has to look at now is just being able to Sucker Punch everything to death. And after, a number of kind of problems in keeping that Maura's attack up, has been a bit of a problem. This Charizard looks like he's actually just going to be going after the Politoed here.
Yeah, Solar Beam, a very common move on Charizard Y because of the super effective grass attack on water types. Not enough for a full knockout on Politoed, but the double target with Crunch certainly is. Critical hit, not necessary in that situation. It is Mawile versus everything. Iron Head into Tyranitar, does get a knockout, but still that last question for Mawile is, can it knock out the Charizard with the Sucker Punch? Because if not, then this Flamethrower is going to take Mawile down.
I mean, Mawile versus Tyranitar versus Charizard in the sun with no Trick Room. It's probably one of the most one-sided 1v1.
If this was a fighting game, there'd be like an 8-2 matchup.
Yeah, this is not on. The Sucker Punch does connect, brings it to under half, but looks like it's curtains for Mawile here.
Yeah, and that is unfortunate since that is the only game we saw Mawile. I know Mawile is a fun Pokemon, a fun Mega that a lot of people like to run because it's different. It has Intimidate, but then huge power gives it such a huge attack, which is, for lack of a better word. But Sucker Punch just not enough. Only brought the Charizard down to half of its HP. And Jakob played very well in Game 3. He understood his outs. He was able to make sure that the Trick Room wasn't enough. He outlasted the Trick Room, so Maura had to adjust there. And then It was in a good spot with getting Rain up, but then Jakob had 2 answers to Rain with Sand and Sun.
Yeah, we talked about it at the beginning of the game. Maura only had 1 weather, so finally Jakob, adapts over in Game 3 and has both those weathers available. That's how he manages to win the game, and a really, really smart play there. Maura Hazen, unfortunately, heading down to the 6 and 2 portion of the bracket. 1 or 2 of them may sneak in, so not all hope is lost. But it looks like, we're going to see Jakob Swilley playing in our Top Cut tomorrow.
Yeah, congrats to Jakob. I do wonder if, when you see that core, Maura's team, how it works is there's a rain option, there's a Trick Room option, and then there's the hyper aggressive Tapu Koko Z move option. Maybe the Tapu Koko being that last slot instead of Politoed, since Jakob had so many answers with 2 weather setters, and Politoed was there without Ludicolo. Having that Z move or hidden power ice on to Landorus without Assault Vest, that could have worked out.
Definitely could have swung it. Would have been really, really nice there for Maura to be able to close that with the Tapu Koko. I do believe we're going to actually speak to one of our first.
Let's see how Jakob is feeling after that big best of 3 third game 1 versus 1 Pokemon situation. That was a close win. So when we come back, we'll have an interview with your round 8 winner of Jakob Swilley, and then later on we'll let you know who's coming into Top Cut. So stay tuned here on Battle Factory. welcome back to our round 8 coverage. We're here with our winner, Jakob Swilley. How are you feeling?
Pretty good.
So you were telling me that you don't think you played as effectively as you could have there, but you still won the match.
Yeah, I made some really simple mistakes. Like in game 1, I forgot that I protected for the fake out, so I killed my own Tapu Koko with Earthquake.
Oh, we thought you were just trying to double protect to avoid the Earthquake.
No, that was like a big facepalm moment right there.
Oh, okay. But what about the rest of the set? How'd you adjust from game 1 to 2 to 3?
So game 2, I just wanted to see how they were going to adjust. And I didn't know that their Polito was going to have Perish Stone, but that's how they ended up winning that game. So going into game 3, the main thing I prioritized was bringing Tyranitar, because that could also help against the Gothitelle that gave me a lot of troubles. So if I could take out Gothitelle, I wouldn't be locked in, so I have freedom to switch and control the weather.
Yeah, Adam and I were actually talking about you having the advantage because you had 2 weather setters on your team compared to Maura, where she only had 1 in the rain. So with bringing Tyranitar in game 3, were you thinking that was the best win condition, or were you worried that something else on her team would handle Tyranitar?
I felt like it was the best win condition because I felt pretty confident they weren't going to bring Ludicolo again, since they won game 2 pretty comfortably with the Politoed and Trick Room. So I thought that Tyranitar would give me that advantage I need to take that set.
And did you think, because we didn't see her 4th Pokemon, so did you think Mawile was the 4th in game 2, or could it have been something else?
In game
Was that going through your mind?
Yeah, it was. I thought since they did bring Trick Room, it had to be Mawile.
All right, so Jacob, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us some, where you're from, how long you've been playing VGC, some fun facts. Let's have the audience get to know you better.
Okay, so I'm from Frisco, Texas. I played VGC in seniors for 2016. I topped 2 regionals and went to Worlds. I flopped out on day 1, so I took a break from 2017, kind of to get better. Then I've only been to 2 tournaments this year, what was Dallas and Charlotte here. In Dallas, I got top 8, and here I'm in Top Cut again.
There we go. So you're, I guess the key for you is just go to more events because you're making Top Cut every time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's your track towards Worlds? How many points is that?
So I think since I'm guaranteed top 16, that should put me at 180. Now that I have proven that I can do good, I'm probably gonna start going to more locals to get those nice premier points in mid seasons. Right. Then I'll probably try going to the North America internationals and see how I do. And
then throughout your 8 rounds here today, do you have any? You have any missteps? You play any opponents with some crazy tech? We've seen some things here today on stream. Was there anything noteworthy to you?
The main thing is I think that almost every opponent I played today had an Incineroar.
Yeah, how's that feel? How'd that feel a week ago, seeing that message from Pokemon?
It was really annoying.
Incineroar.
It was really annoying because the team I was going to bring, be pretty much had a really good matchup except for against Intimidate Incineroar, so I had to change up and adapt.
Honestly, I've heard that from a lot of people that I'm talking to. It's I had a really good team, but it had a bad matchup against Intimidate Incineroar.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, congratulations. We don't want to hold you any longer. Go out there and celebrate with your friends. I'm sure you're going to find out the rest of Top 8, and we will see you tomorrow.
Cool. See ya.
Congrats. So when we come back, we're going to get set up here. We're going to have a special post-game analysis desk, just how we've had for the pregame and that little halftime show in between the rounds. So we're going to have me, Marty, and Jason back here on the mic and talk about how today went, the fun stuff that we saw, and more importantly, who is moving on to Top 8 of the Charlotte Regional. So stay tuned.